ಈಗ ಉಪನಿಷತ್ಸಿ ಶ್ಲೋಕ chapter 16 ಶ್ಲೋಕ 47. If we take the viewpoint that Prakriti is responsible for attracting and trapping Purusha in the bondage, the conscious principle, then bondage and liberation becomes meaningless. Why? The bondage of Purusha or conscious principle is by Prakriti. Prakriti is insentient. Insentient principle has no desire for attracting somebody or freeing somebody. Okay? Understand? So in Sankhya philosophy, the Purusha has no power or no conscious power without Prakriti. So now we have two aspects, the conscious principle and insentient. The conscious principle cannot have any desire because without Prakriti there is no ability for the conscious principle according to Sankhya. So there are two entities as good as insentient. So who wants liberation? Who is creating the bondage? Who is creating the liberation? Okay. So the Prakriti cannot cause bondage or creation, bondage or liberation, because Prakriti is insentient. The nature is insentient. Of its own, it cannot do anything. The Purusha without Prakriti is incapable. Now, can both together desire for liberation? No. Can one of them desire for liberation? Then who gives the liberation? So they are, according to Sankhyas, the Prakriti is responsible for bondage and Prakriti is responsible for liberation. So now this argument becomes meaningless. It's almost a concept that there's a masculine and feminine principle existing from the beginning, time immemorial. There are both parallel principles. The feminine principle is responsible for attracting the masculine principle for trapping and liberation. This is with this viewpoint, Sankhya philosophy has developed. But in reality, it's not so, because the feminine principle or the Prakriti in Sankhya philosophy is insentient. And the conscious principle is incapable. So one insentient, one incapable cannot make something meaningful, bondage and liberation. Are you clear?